السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. We start after me with love and affection. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله.
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله.
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله.
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله.
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. بحمده تعالى. It is the infinite grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has gathered us in this majlis, in this mehfil. There are many places where we could be right now, and that's the reality. But the fact that He has chosen us to be in His house in order to acquire some knowledge of the deen is a testament to the fact. It's evident to the reality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants the best for us. Because Rasulullah said that مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. He whom Allah intends good with, when Allah wants the best for someone, He gives him understanding of the religion. So this is the purpose of our gathering, that we may acquire some knowledge in regards to the religion. And the topic that we have kept is a very important topic for our time. In fact, when Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam presented himself in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he asked him the questions, a very famous hadith Jibreel. One of the questions he asked was about ihsan, perfection of faith. And perfection of faith, it refers to the spiritual aspects of our religion. How we purify our inner self, how we control our desires. And when a person is able to reach maqam al-ihsan, when he reaches the state of perfection, then he attains a station very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah today, this is the purpose of our gathering. This is the reason why we have gathered in the Masjid. Inshallah, we have much planned. Before we move forward, I would request those brothers who are able to do so, who have no difficulty, if you could please make your way to the center of the Masjid, if you could make your way to the middle of the Masjid, inshallah ta'ala. So Allah give us barakah. Recite Rushid loudly one more time. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم صلاة وسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. As per the custom of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we will begin with the recitation of the Quran, for which I would like to invite Hafiz Bilal, who will be reciting the Quran inshallah. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون فاذكروني
إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, beautiful recitation of the Quran by Hafiz Bilal. And like I was mentioning just before the tilawat, that the purpose of the gathering and the topic was on the nafs. Just one saying which is been mentioned by Imam Ghazali, he mentions in regards to controlling of the nafs and what a person can achieve if he brings the nafs under control. He says that that individual, that human, if he brings his desires under control, then that human will have a higher maqam, a higher station than the angels. But would that the human was to submit to his desires, submit to his nafs, then he is worse than a dog. So this shows the severity and the importance of controlling one's desires, of controlling the nafs. That would that we were successful in this maqam, in controlling the nafs, then inshaAllah ta'ala we can attain a very high maqam, a very high station. Because a person, he has to be a slave to something. Either he is a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or he's a slave to his desires. So those people who argue and they reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as is the case unfortunately in this day and age, and they say we do not submit to anyone, we do not want to bow our head before anyone. In reality what they're doing, they're submitting to their desires, they're submitting to their nafs. So inshaAllah ta'ala we will be listening to this, and alhamdulillah ta'ala our guest speaker is amongst us, so if my voice is reaching anyone at home, I would request that they quickly make their way to the Masjid. But before then, and before that, we have our brothers from Blackburn, the Nuri team, mashaAllah, who will be collectively reciting a Qasida Burda as well as some couplets of Naat. And mashallah, I was watching them online and they recite beautifully. So I would request the Nuri team, Mawlana Huzaifa, Hamza and Muhammad Aman, if they could come forward and inshaAllah commence our Mehfil with the recitation of Qasida Burda Sharif. Nari Takbir, Nari Risalat, Nari Risalat, Masjid Aqsa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Something good for you. Everyone join with the utmost love and affection. Something good for you. Sallallahu alayhi ya Rasulallah wa sallam alayka ya Habibullah alayka ya Rasulallah وسلم عليك يا حبيب الله مولاي صل وسلم دائما خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. Allah send peace and blessings upon your beloved, the best and perfect creation that you have created. Alhamdulillahi munshir khalqi min adami, thumma as-salatu ala al-muqtari fil qidami. Mawlaya salli wa sallim daiman abadan ala habibika khairil khalqi kullihim. Look at the heavens and the earth, the shining sun and the moon. When Allah made all of them, He made them all just for you.
We as the Ahl Sunnah, we as the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we recite many kalams of Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi. Now, Huzur Taj Sharia, he was once asked by a person, "Oh Huzur Taj Sharia, which of the kalams of Ala Hazrat was his favorite? Which Naat Sharif was his favorite Naat?" Now Huzur Taj Sharia, he said, "I'm not sure about that, but my favorite kalam, the one I like the most, this one is unique." What did he say? There is no one like you, there is no one who's the same, so merciful is your nature and so high is your name. Zameen o zaman tumhare liye, makin o makan tumhare liye, chunin o chuna tumhare liye, bane do jahan tumhare liye, dagan mein zubaan tumhare liye, badan mein ye jaan tumhare liye, hamare yahan tumhare liye, uthe bhi wahan tumhare liye. Rab farmaya mahbooba zamane sare tere ne, arshi bhi farshi bhi دیوانے سارے تیرے نے. Look at the heavens and the earth, the shining sun and the moon. When Allah made all of them, He made them all just for you. چاند جھک جاتا جدھر انگلی اٹھاتے, مغد میں کیا ہی چلتا تھا اشاروں پر کھلونا نور کا. There is no one like you, there is no one who's the same, so merciful is your nature and so high is your name. لم يأتِ نذيرك في نذر, لم يأتِ نذيرك في نذر, مثلك نشد پیدا جانا. جگراج کو تاج تورے سر سو ہے, تجھ کو شرے دوسرا جانا. البحر علا والموج طغى, من بکس طوفان ہوش ربا, مجدار میں وہ بگڑی ہے ہوا, موری نیا پار لگا جانا. انفی عطش و صفا کا عدم, اے گئے سوئے پاکے ابر کرم پر سنہارے. رم جم دو بوند ادھر بگڑا جانا. روح فدا کا فزد حرکا, یک
شعلہ دیگر برزن عشق مرا تن من دن سب پھونک دیا مرا تن من دن سب پھونک دیا یہ جان بھی پیار چلا جانا القلب شجو الہم شجو دل زار چنا جا زیر چنوبت اپنی بھی بت میں کیسے کہوں میرا کون ہے تیرے سوا جانا بس خام نوائے رضا نئے طرز میری نئے رنگ میرا ارشاد علی بانات کتاب ناچار سراغ پرا جانا there is no one like you there is no one who's the same so merciful is your nature and so high is your name کیا بات مدینے کی ساری دنیا کھاتی ہے خیرات مدینے کی غم مصطفیٰ جس کے سینے میں ہے غم مصطفیٰ جس کے سینے میں ہے وہ کہیں بھی رہے وہ مدینے میں ہے اور حضور اپنی محفل میں ہے جلوہ گر اور حضور اپنی محفل میں ہے جلوہ گر تو سمجھ لو یہ محفل مدینے میں ہے تیری چالیوں کے نیچے تیری رحمتوں کے سائے جس دیکھنی وہ جنت وہ مدینہ دیکھ لائے میں لب کشا نہیں ہوں اور میں التجا ہوں میں محفل حرم کے آداب جانتا ہوں یہ روشنی سی کیا ہے خوشبو کہاں سے آئی شاید میں چلتے چلتے روزے تک آ گیا ہوں میرا دل تڑپ رہا ہے میرا جل رہا ہے سینہ کی دوا وہی ملے گی مجھے لے چلو مدینہ مدینہ میری بات بن گئی ہے تیری بات کرتے کرتے تیرے شہر میں آؤ تیری نعت پڑھتے پڑھتے ایک روز ہوگا جانا سرکار کی گلی میں ہوگا وہی ٹھکانا سرکار کی گلی میں بلا لو پھر مجھے اے شام بغروں پر مدینے میں پھر روتا ہوا آؤ تیرے در پر مدینے میں نہ دولت دے نہ شہرت دے مجھے بس یہ سعادت دے تیرے قدموں میں مر جاؤں میں رو رو کر مدینے میں there is no one like you there is no one who's the same so merciful is your nature and so high is your name تیرے صدقے میں آقا سارے جہاں کو دین ملا بے دینوں نے کلمہ پڑھا لا الہ الا اللہ 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 سمت نبی وہ جگل گیا آقا سے اس نے کہا گر ہو نبی بتلاؤ ذرا میری موتی میں ہے کیا آقا کا فرمان ہوا اور فضل رحمان ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله اپنی بہن سے بولے عمر یہ تو بتا کیا کر دی تھی میرے آنے سے پہلے کیا چپ کے پڑھتی تھی بہن نے جب قرآن پڑھا سن کے کلام پاک خدا دل یہ عمر کا بول اٹھا کیا لا الہ الا اللہ حسبی ربی جل اللہ ما فی قلبی غیر اللہ نور محمد صلی اللہ لا الہ الا اللہ لا الہ ہر جگہ تیری عطا کا ساتھ ہو جب پڑے مشکل شہے مشکل کشا کا ساتھ ہو ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا یا الہی بھول جاؤ نظر کی تکلیف کو شادی دیدار حسن مصطفیٰ کا ساتھ ہو ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا ربنا یا ربنا my beloved I beg of you in life and in death to run your border of special love and care over me. Oh my beloved, I beg of you in life and in death to run your border of special love and care over us. Ya Rabbi bil Mustafa بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم واغفر إلهي لكل المسلمين بما يتلون في المسجد الأقصى وفي الحرم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم.
MashaAllah, that's a beautiful recitation of the Qasida alongside with numerous couplets of Naat in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. MashaAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of them. May Allah increase them in their ilm and their amal. May Allah beautify their voices and give them the ability to continue to recite poetry in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is what these youngsters, MashaAllah, they should be aspiring towards. On Friday in Jummah, we spoke about the evils of music and how nowadays there's almost a push to try and validate, to try and permit, to try and say that it's okay to listen to music. But the reality is the opposite, right? The reality is the opposite. In one of the ahadith in Abu Dawud, it's mentioned that when Sayyidina Umar was walking, he heard some music being played. He placed his fingers in his ears. Then he said to Sayyidina Nafs, he says, is the music still playing? When he said no, then he took his fingers out of the ears. And then he said, I saw Rasulullah doing the same thing. Severity of music. Right? We take it so lightly, unfortunately, in this day and age. But I'm sure whilst you were listening to this qasida and the nats, and you were reciting, you would have felt a lightness in your heart. You'd have felt some spirituality in your hearts. So this is the difference. We need to connect ourselves with the Quran. We need to connect ourselves with the nat, with the praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, then we will feel spiritual upliftment. Inshallah, we will be proceeding to our keynote speech, but just one more nat, inshallah ta'ala. One of my dear brothers from Blackburn is present amongst us, and he recites nats very, very beautifully. So therefore I would like and I would request if he would come forward, my honorable brother Muhammad Sajid, and if he could recite a few couplets of Nat Sharif. Nari Takbir,
Allahu Akbar,
Nari Risalat, Salah Khali Mustafa, Nari Takbir, Nari Risalat,
Ya Rasulullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Inshallah, seeing as though the brothers have recited a few nats in the qasida burda, let us recite a mankabat in the barga of Huzur Sayyidi Ghostas, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. Lekin Rushi padiye, sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah, wa sallam alayka ya Habibullah. امداد کن از بندے غم آزاد کن در دین و دنیا شاد کن در دین و دنیا شاد کن یا غوث اعظم دستگیر امداد کن تیرے ہاتھ میں نے دیا ہے تیرے ہاتھ میں نے دیا ہے تیرے ہاتھ ہے لاج یا غوث اعظم امداد کن از بندے غم آزاد کن در دین و دنیا شاد کن در دین و دنیا شاد کن یا غوث اعظم دستگیر امداد کن یہ دل یہ جگر ہے یہ آنکھیں یہ سر ہے یہ دل یہ جگر ہے یہ آنکھیں یہ سر ہے جہاں چاہو رکھو قدم غوث اعظم امداد کن از بندے غم آزاد کن در دین و دنیا شاد کن یا غوث اعظم دستگیر امداد کن قسم ہے کہ مشکل کو مشکل نہ پایا قسم ہے کہ مشکل کو مشکل نہ پایا کہا ہم نے جس وقت یا غوث اعظم کہے کس سے جا کر حسن اپنے دل کی سونے کون تیرے سوا
गौसे आज़म इमदाद कुन अज़बर्द गम आज़ाद कुन दर्दीनो दुनिया शाद कुन या गौसे आज़म दस्तगीर इमदाद कुन
MashaAllah, this beautiful recitation of Mankabat by our dear brother Muhammad Sajid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the ability to continue to recite poetry in the praise of the Anbiya and the Awliya. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautify his voice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him a long and healthy life. Bihamdi ta'ala, now we've had the tilawat of the Quran. We've had Naat in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We've had also Mankabat. So insha'Allah ta'ala, I think you're ready in order to receive some spiritual words of wisdom. This has always been the custom of the Ahlul Sunnah. You start with recitation of Quran and Naat. This opens the heart and it allows for the wisdom and it allows for the speech to enter into the hearts of the listeners. So inshallah, now we are proceeding towards our keynote speech. I'm sure most of you are aware. Initially we did have a plan to listen to Imam Khalid Sahab from Leicester. Unfortunately, some of his family members, they have COVID, so he was unable to attend. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them all shifa throughout the world. Wherever there are Muslims who are unwell, may Allah give them health, give them strength, protect us all from this illness. And thereafter, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude, not only from myself and the management, from all of you as well, because on such short notice, our dear Sheikh Mawlana Muhammad Hussain Sahab, he said not only would he deliver a lecture, but on the same topic that we had kept. This is not easy, it takes a lot of preparation. But mashallah, Hazrat Sahab has been talking on this topic for many, many years now. I remember when I was a youth in madrasa, we were benefiting from Mawlana Sahab at that time as well. He's a great muballigh of the deen. He understands the youngsters, he knows what's happening within our communities, and he's not afraid to speak on these topics. Hazrat has blessed him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed Hazrat immensely. So inshallah ta'ala, without any further delay, we request Hazrat Mawlana Hussain al-Qadiri Sahab, if you would come forward and bless our gathering with his words of wisdom. We do istiqbal. Nari takbir, Nari risalat, Nari risalat, Ulama ahli sunnat, Nari takbir, Nari risalat.
Respected ulama, especially the Imam and Khatib of this Masjid, Sheikh Muhammad al-Qadiri, Hafidhahullah. Respected audience, brothers and sisters of Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wal aqibatul muttaqeen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونفس وما سواها
فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها صدق الله مولانا العظيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد نور الأنوار والسيد الأبرار وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. First and foremost, some of you might be disappointed, and you have the whole right to be disappointed. That unfortunately Imam Khalid was unable to attend today. Bihamdi ta'ala, he's Aqsa, he's a'lam than myself, he's more knowledgeable, experienced to talk about such topics. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect him, all the ulama and our sunnah wal jama'ah from all types of diseases, inshallah. And the second thing, as you heard, is literally until 6. Okay. I was preparing for today's talk. Usually it's my habit. Take it as a positive way or negative way of preparing a speech beforehand. It takes me a couple of years, couple of days to do the research, to gather the information, and to educate myself first and foremost, and then others who are to attend the gathering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to speak the truth, adhere to the truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be with the truthful people, inshallah. Ulama, they have mentioned that there are certain ulum, certain subjects, certain sciences of our religion, which are fard to learn and to practice. For example, learning about Aqidah, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the wajib, the jaiz, the muhal, in terms of the aqaidah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the prophets, etc., etc. Same, for example, to learn about wudu, about tahara, about salah, about zakah, about sawm, hajj, etc., etc. Same, learning tajweed, especially the makharij al-huruf, the bare minimum. This is also fard. In the same way, it is fard, it is necessary, it is compulsory for myself and for you, all of you, and for the rest of the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to learn about the purification and the diseases of the heart. If I was to ask you, अगर सवाल करूँ आपसे, जो नमाज के कितने फराइज हैं? How many fara'iz are there? Salah, of wudu. What things would break wudu? What things would break ghusl? What things would break your salah, etc., etc. Inshallah, most of you would know what things would break your salah, the mufsidat of salah. But if I was to ask you, tell me a few things that will break your spiritual heart, that will destroy your spirituality, ruhaniyya, your qalb. Illa ma sha Allah. Most of us would fail to answer this question. So, bihamdi ta'ala, the brothers of this masjid, the Imam, Mawlana, They have chosen this topic. And it is very important that such topics are talked about, because we need to educate the masses, because this branch of knowledge is also fard. So you come into here, you are fulfilling the obligation of Sharia. Now where shall I begin? Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu has mentioned in his fatwa, if I can recall exactly, volume number 29, with the tarjuma. Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu, alhamdulillah, his name is written around the entrance of this masjid. It's a ta'weez. Of protection, shielding. Anyway, Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu mentions that our soul, ruh, each one of you have a soul. Okay? He says the souls were created 2,000 years prior to the takhliq, the creation of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Your soul was created 2,000 years before the creation of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. So understand, brothers and sisters, what is in you is something very special. It is from that world. Even before Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, your soul existed. Now what happened? Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala was also other, obviously in the books of Ahadith al-Mubarakah is mentioned. When you and I, when we were in our mother's womb, after 120 days, roughly 3 months, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an angel to go to Alam Arwah, to the world of souls. And they took hold of your soul, they came to this dunya, and they placed your soul into your body when you were in your mother's womb after 120 days. This is the first time when the soul was placed into a body. And this is where your worldly life began. When the combination of the soul, when the connection of the soul was with the body in your mother's womb. In this, at that very moment of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels to write down certain things, your destiny, your journey. How long you can live in this dunya? How many days, how many nights, how many weeks, how many months, years? Certain ulama, certain asfiya, which I have read, that instead of writing the days and years, your anfas, how many breaths you're going to take in this dunya was written down. This person is going to breathe, or is going to take 10,786,092 times is going to breathe this dunya. Okay. It was written. When you complete your last breath, that is the end of that connection in this world. That's what I'm talking about. The soul is separated from your body. So from al-Arwah, we came to al-Dunya, and then we go to the third world, which is known as al-Barzakh, the world which is beneath our feet, the grave. Yes. Now, even though your soul, for majority of us, okay, the soul is disconnected or separated from the body, yes, for some pious individuals, their souls in the first sky. For certain individuals, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Some are doing tawaf of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, like the souls of the awliya. Yeah, and that is why at this point I remembered Khwaja bin Nawaz radiallahu ta'ala anhu has mentioned in Al-Fughat. And there will be certain things from today's lecture I would like you to implement. Okay, take it from today's gathering, inshallah. And that is to sleep in a state of wudu. Okay, it's not fun, it is not wajib. Rather it is mustahab. Rasul has mentioned in Bahal Sharia. Now it is better to sleep in a state of wudu. Why? Khwaja bin Nawaz radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Asfiya, they mentioned, when you are sleeping in a state of wudu, your soul leaves your body. As mentioned in the Quran as well. Your soul leaves the body and does this tawaf of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's a possibility that your soul will be doing tawaf with the soul of the likes of Ghusi Azam. So take this. And the ulama they mentioned, Imam Suyuti radiallahu ta'ala Sharh Sudur has mentioned that whosoever passes away in a state of wudu, he will be passing away as a shaheed. Okay. Anyway, so Alim Barzakh, souls are in different parts of the universe. Some are in Jannah. Sayyidina Ja'far Tayyar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, brother of Sayyidina Mawlana Ali. When he passed away, and I request the brothers and sisters to read about the Battle of Malta. And some brothers, mashallah, were in Jordan a few months ago. They visited the plains of Malta. And Sayyidina Ja'far radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he lost both of his arms and passed away in that state. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Madinatul Munawwara, he's looking up and says, I can see Ja'far radiallahu ta'ala been given the wings and is flying with the angels in Jannah. That's why his name became Ja'far Tayyar, the one who flies. So certain souls, they are in Jannah. And for the wretched individuals, okay, na'udhu billah, those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their souls are chained and punished. So then what happens? We're going to stay in Alam Barzakh for many and many years until Yawm al-Qiyamah. When the second sur, the blowing of the horn will take place, Israfil alayhi salam, the angel, at this very moment in time, when the Prophet ﷺ went to Mi'raj, he also saw Sayyidina Israfil alayhi salam. Israfil alayhi salam, an angel, who will blow the trumpet, the horn. The first one will be such that it will be the means of the destruction of the entire universe because of the sound waves. Okay. And then, even to a certain extent, okay, the sur itself will be destroyed. Israfil alayhi salam will pass away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave return ruh of Israfil into his body. Israfil alayhi salam will come back alive. And he will be given the sur the second time. And again, this has been mentioned by the ulama, that when the second time when the soul will be blown, our souls will come out from that sur, okay, like small bees. Okay, according to one narration, there's a scatter, and they will go to each and every single body. This will be the second time when our souls will be placed into our body, and this is the day of judgment, that the graves will open and we will come out of our graves and we will be summoned, we will be called for our accounts hisab in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and that moment, the soul will never leave your body. It will remain inshallah, all of us, inshallah. Okay, will remain in Jannah forever, forever and ever and ever. If we spend the entire life saying ever, it will never end. Never ending life. Okay, sometimes you just sit down, close the eyes and contemplate on that moment when you will inshallah enter Jannah, a never ending life. It's a reality, it is haqiqah. Okay, this life, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَعِبٌ وَاللَّهْوُ, is just amusement, it is just sports, entertainment. What we aspire towards is entrance to Jannah, dukhul ila Jannah. Never ever ending life in Jannah, inshallah. And na'udhu billah, and this is why we're going to talk about the importance of tazkiyatun nafs. That there will be certain believers, even from the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because of their sins, because the hearts will be full of the darkness of the evil, the sins they've committed in this dunya, to purify their souls, their hearts, they will, na'udhu billah, be punished. Some ulama say, through calamities in dunya, or adab in a grave, or by the agonies and the calamities that befall them on Yawm al-Hashr. And na'udhu billah, still, if they still not been purified, they will end up in Jahannam. And through the shafa'ah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the souls will be purified and they will be given ijazah now to enter Jannah. No matter how sinful you may be, how disobedient you may be, if a person leave this dunya in a state of iman, no doubt he will enter Jannah. He will enter Jannah. Okay. Man qala la ilaha illallah, dakhala al-Jannah. Now anyway, we're talking about this dunya. Everything what happens in akhirah, whatever happens on day of judgment, in your grave, in al-barzakh, in al-hashr, in Yawm al-qiyamah, everything depends on your life in this dunya. 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, maximum 90 years, maybe if you're very special individual, 100 years, you might live for 100 years, centuries. Just an age. Okay. Everything, your life in barzakh, and your hashr, and mizan, and sirat, everything that occurs on Yawm al-Qiyamah and beyond in Jannah, all depends on your state in this dunya. And that is why it is very important for us to understand that why is it that ourselves, myself for example, we tend to divert away from Siratul Mustaqim, meaning we tend to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we readily, easily commit sins. Why? Even though you know that there is an end to this life, there's going to be hisab and kitab Yawm al-Qiyamah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will summon us on Yawm al-Qiyamah, iqra kitabak, we have to read our book of deeds. Now this is where we need to understand the purpose of today's gathering, which is to talk about nafs. What is nafs? We talked about soul, we talked about the body. Our body is made from soil. Adam from Adim al-Ard. Adam alayhi salam, on narration wise, Adam known as Adam alayhi salam because he is created from Adim al-Ard, from the soil of this earth. Now what is nafs? Yes, Imam Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Abu Talib Makki radiallahu anhu qulub and many other ulama asfiya, they mention what is nafs. And there's different narrations ask what is nafs, what is an ego, what is yourself. temptations, desires. Where did they come from? Where's the source of lusts, temptations, desires? They have mentioned that, do you know when the soul, okay, subhanAllah. I know it's a topic a bit deep, but don't worry, inshallah. Okay, now we come to the topic I wanted to talk about. I know you followed me from Adam al-Arwah to Jannah. We'll come back to this soon, inshallah. When the soul was placed into your body, there was a connection between the soul and the body. When that connection took place, there was a third entity that was created. And that was your nafs, your ego. Yes? Your desire. The source of all desires. This is called nafs. There is no location. I cannot say, this is your nafs, take it out. Yes, the ulama, they have mentioned that the heart, the physical heart, that pumps blood. Yes, so many times a day. Doctors, pharmacists here, I don't know how many times a day. Okay? It pumps blood. In that physical heart is embedded your the spiritual heart. Okay? So the spiritual heart is inside the physical heart. The location and certain asfiya, awliya, they are mentioned. Okay? I know certain medics, medical doctors, and those of into biology, studied medicine, mashallah. The location is central towards the left. Okay. The asfiya, they mentioned this location of the spiritual heart. Latifa al-qalb is 2 fingers beneath your chest. This is where, towards the left side. This is where the spiritual, and then that is why when we dhikr, people do dhikr. Okay. But they don't know the method of dhikr, unfortunately. Okay, we see people turning their heads right, over looking there, don't know what to do. Okay. Obviously, if your intention is, if you're sincere, inshallah, it will affect your heart. Okay, but you try and aim on that point, that zone, where the spiritual heart is. Okay, and the ulama, they mentioned that is the location also of the nafs. I'm going to talk about nafs in a second. So when you dhikr Allah, okay, you try and imagine that the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being inserted. Whatever I've mentioned so far is not even what I even thought about talking about. Okay, it's something different, but inshallah, I think I'll come to the point I'm going to try and make. So this is the location. Spiritual heart. When you dhikr, la ilaha illallah. Okay, the focus, okay, is to be that place of the heart. Illallah, Allahu, Haqhu, Allah, etc., etc. It's called Latifa al-Qalb. Now, talking about nafs, Imam Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and many scholars prior to him, they have mentioned the importance of, first and foremost, the haqiqatul nafs, the essence of nafs. What is nafs? Generally speaking, it is the source of all desires and temptations. You know, at the moment, I can see your eyes. Okay? Your eyes are getting a bit heavy. Come Mawlana Hussain, come on. Okay, it's 10 to 8. Yeah, Sunday night. Yeah, so you can see some redness in the eyes. Okay, if I was to carry on, inshallah, the next half an hour, you'll all be sleeping. Okay? It's a desire, it's a temptation. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created nafs for our survival. Okay, this is for our survival. Okay, we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to rest, etc., etc. Okay. We're not angels. Okay. Now, there is do you know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam, and he requested all the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. Yes? All except one prostrated to Adam alayhi salam. Who was that one? Don't worry, say loudly. Iblis. There's no harm mentioning his name in the Quran. It is in the Quran. Okay. It's like people, oh, Mawlana, you can't say pig. Okay, whereas in the Quran it's khinzir, isn't it? Anyway. So, Iblis, from that day onwards, the day when he rejected to submit to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prostrate to the first human being, Sayyidina Adam, our father, alayhi salam. From that day onwards, there was an enmity, and that, between Iblis and Adam alayhi salam and his progeny. Okay, he became aduwwun mubin. Inna shaytana lil-insani aduwwun mubin. He became the apparent enemy of Adam alayhi salam and his progeny. Shaitan is our open, loudly, enemy. He's an aduwwun mubin. Now there's certain wazifa we do, okay, the shaitan will flee. Okay, youngsters here, just to amuse them. Okay, there's a narration, rather there's a hadith. Do you know when adhan takes place? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Do you know what shaitan what he does? He runs from the area farting, being humiliated. Yes, this is the narration. He gets humiliated. He runs away from that area. And that is why, subhanAllah, we're close to the Qabristan. Okay, when it is one of the amal deeds we do. When we bury the deceased, we give adhan. So the shaitan is free from the area. There's certain wada'if we can do. Okay, we can protect ourselves from shaitan and his influence and his waswasa. If you have a bad dream, okay, Mawlana, I had a bad dream. Take it. Okay. Now, inshallah, one day we'll talk about the science of dreams. Sure. So certain people get frightened. I saw myself drowning. SubhanAllah. Probably drunk a lot of water. Okay. But certain bad dreams, majority of bad dreams are not bad at all. They're very good. Okay. So anyways, ulama mention, isn't it? When you wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, you saw a bad dream. Okay, what do you, because certain bad dreams, they are bad dreams, they're from shaitan. Read A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem and you blow on your left. Not to spit blow onto your left. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir. If you might be careful. You don't want to follow a bad dream then. Yes, not we're trying to do. Anyway, so to protect from shaitan is easy. In month of Ramadan, what happens to the devils? You're locked up. Yes. He is our open enemy. Okay, I need to be very careful about his ways. But then, the Prophet ﷺ mentions who is and what is the greatest enemy. In Ihya, the Imam Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala anhu has mentioned, Imam Bayhaqi has mentioned in Al-Zuhd al-Kabir, one of his kitabs. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam says, أَعْدَى عَدُوِّكْ نَفْسُكَ الَّتِي بَيْنَ جَنْبَيْكَ कि तेरा सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन तेरा नफ्स है जो तेरे पहलुओं के दरमियान है. The greatest enemy is not the devil. He's an open enemy, aduwwun mubin, but he's not your greatest enemy. The greatest enemy lies within you, it is your nafs. You get it? There is no wazifa. Okay, that you can protect your nafs. I'm going to pray this wazifa, I'm going to do this adhan, I'm going to pray this, inshallah, the nafs is going to run away from me. It's not going to happen. The nafs is going to stay with you. That is why even when the shayateen are locked away in Ramadan, people do carry on sinning. They're still doing that drug dealing. They're still carrying on doing haram things, looking at haram, consuming haram, listening to haram, watching haram. Why? The shaitan not there. It's because of the nafs, of the ego. Because the source of all temptation, lusts, is the nafs. And there is, probably if you read the poster, the Prophet ﷺ is returning from one of the battles. One narration, it was the battle of Tabuk. He became victorious. The Sahaba, just imagine this, Sahaba Kiram. They were returning from a battle. The Prophet ﷺ, when he saw the companions are happy, Allah blessed them with Fath, with Nusra. The Prophet ﷺ wanted to teach the Sahaba through them to us a very important lesson. The Prophet ﷺ, again Imam Bayhaqi has mentioned this. Allahu Akbar. رجعنا من الجهاد الأصغر إلى الجهاد الأكبر. The Prophet ﷺ says we have returned from a minor battle. Jihad Asghar, fighting the enemies, is a minor battle. We are returning, they return to Medina Munawwara. Okay? We are returning from a minor battle to a major battle. What is that? And that is the nafs, the ego. Yes? And that is why it is very important for all of us, and especially myself, that talking about such topics is a very frightening and scary topic. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Allah warns people that people, even though this ayah was revealed in Medina Munawwara against the Jews, the rabbis, they used to command people to do good, they would forget themselves. I don't want to become from those individuals that command people to do good and we forget ourselves. So this topic is for myself first and foremost. And through this, inshallah, for all of you, so that you can see benefit, and inshallah, if you were to practice, it will be means of my forgiveness, inshallah. Nafs is of 3 types. Now this is going to be a bit interesting, inshallah. I'm going to close my kitabs. Okay? Nafs is of 3 types. How many types? 3 types. Don't worry, inshallah, there's not going to be a test, a quiz at the end. But remember these things. The base nafs, okay, is nafs ammara. Okay, nafs ammaratun bisu. So Yusuf alayhi salam, when he left the prison, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. The base nafs is ammaratun bisu, and nafs that always commands you to commit evil. Okay? There's that, there's a voice within you. Okay, a lot of youth here, mashallah. And they're single, ready to mingle. Huh? Full of energy, temptations. You're walking down, yeah? And you see this girl. Okay. Obviously, shaitan is there. Shaitan utilizes this nafs to tempt you to do haram. There's a voice within you. Look at man. Okay. And then you glance. Okay, you listen to nafs ammaratun bisu. Nafs ammara. This lowest type of self, nafs. Ammaratun bisu. It's called nafs ammara. Always commands you to do evil. Always. Always tells you to do haram. Disobey Allah. Okay? But then we come to the second stage. This is nafs lawwama. Yeah? Nafs lawwama is the rebuking self. When you do something haram, again there is another voice, a feeling, a gut feeling, a guilt feeling. I did something wrong, man. Isn't that the case? If you do something wrong, okay, now this is what I'm going to talk about. If that is alive, if that nafs lawwama, the rebuking self, okay, telling you off, always. If that is still alive, okay, you will have this guilt feeling, and this guilt feeling will help you towards tawbah, will help you towards becoming a better Muslim. Yes? Do you know the ulama that I mentioned? How many of you got a fish tank at home? You have a fish tank? No. Mustafa has. Subhanallah. Any of you got a fish tank? Fish? No? Anyway, if you were to take the fish out of the tank, the water, for example, and place the golden fish, okay, in your palm, what will initially, before its death, what will happen to the fish? What will you do? What happens when you take a salmon or cod from the river? Okay, what happens? Starts agitating. Yes or no? Yeah. Until you return it back into the water, you relax, and then you start swimming away. This is a state of our nafs. When you commit a sin the first time ever, when you commit a sin, you feel so down, this guilt feeling. You feel remorseful. Yes? This is a state of your soul, your nafs. It wants to return back to tawbah, to that state that you are submitting yourself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? Now if you leave that fish out of the water, you agitate and eventually you calm and die. If you were to place that fish back into the water, will it swim? No. Go down and maybe float. Okay. If you have that guilt feeling, you took that first ever smoke of that drug, a sip of alcohol, for example, or you touched that okay, had that relationship with a girl, or listen to the music first time ever, or whatever the sin you committed first time. If you do not listen to your nafs lawwama, you did wrong, do tawbah. If you do not do this, eventually this nafs lawwama will die. And next time you take drugs, there's no guilt feeling. It's good, man. Too much pressure. Okay, she's only a girl, I'm gonna marry her, it's fine, man. Go out with her, etc., etc. There will be no guilt feeling whatsoever. Even people do nasiha from one ear to another because there is no nafs lawwama. It is absolutely dead. It's only nafs ammara. As a believer, as a mu'min, as a fitrah, every one of us, we are gifted with nafs lawwama. When you commit a sin, a voice within you says you've done something wrong. Turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? This will inspire you to do tawbatan nasuha. And from nafs lawwama, we come to nafs mutma'innah, which comes after death. Okay, at the time of death, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya nafs, يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. Okay, نفس مطمئنة في إطمئنان. Okay, it is the nafs that feels peace being the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, when you pray salah, our minds is not wandering off in Aldi or Asda, we need to buy some nappies and whatever. No. When we pray salah, we feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Mawlana mentioned about that, maqam al-ihsan. Okay, this is what the signs of nafs mutmainna. Your heart, your nafs is feeling in ease, in presence of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nafs mutmainna. Now, our nafs lawama tells you there's something wrong. You know, the greatest, as they say, the ulama Imam Ghazali, obviously there is sharah, you need to be careful. The greatest mufti is your own heart, as they say. And this is, ulama that mentioned this for those whose nafs al-lawwama is alive. If you want to know something is halal or haram, just ask your heart, what am I doing, what I am doing now, is this good or bad for me? This is nafs al-lawwama. Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu in Fatah Fiqhiyya Sharif, he has mentioned there are approximately 40 or 44 diseases of the heart. And I'm going to take you back to our soul. When souls were created, they were pure. Pure from all diseases. No pride, no ostentation, no love of dunya, no love of leadership, no love of fame. Okay? And they was placed into our body. And then, what happens if you start disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you start following these sayyi'at, disease of the heart. Okay, approximately 40. It is found. What is? It is found for me and you, first and foremost, to recognize, you know, the disease of the heart. And number two, to remove those diseases from the heart. Yes? If, for example, I'm sat here on the chair. Okay? MashaAllah, brother is in front of me. If Allah protects, and it happens, okay, because of our nafs amaratu bisu, or for example, brothers reading Naat, or reading al-Quran, or reading al-Bayan, or reading al-Adhan, giving charity away of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't want to show off. It's me, isn't it? It's me, isn't it? Look at me, I've got this quality. Okay? Kibr, for example, ujub. So it is found. Okay? And Allah will ask us about this as well. It is found and first and foremost to recognize the disease of the heart, and then you start removing and purifying your heart from these diseases. Why? Inna, we heard the verse, Inna lillahi, finish off, wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah. Our soul from al-arwah. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will be resurrected, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about the state of our souls. Hisab kitab guna, the effect of guna is on the heart and the soul. When you look at something haram, do your eyes become dark? Unless someone, you know, subhanallah, you should have got a black eye. But generally speaking, if you look at haram, do the eyes turn black? Yes or no? No. When you listen to haram, do the ears turn black? No. When you utter something haram, do the tongue become black? No. When you steal or you're handling something haram, do the hands become black? No. What becomes dark? The spiritual heart, which I talked about right at the beginning. The spiritual heart becomes dark. The entire body, okay, the limbs are connected to the heart. If you do anything haram, we cannot see. Okay, you cannot see, but our hearts are stained, okay, with the darkness of the sins. And that is, it is very, very important before we pass away from this dunya, before maut, and there is no guarantee we're going to live until tomorrow. Okay, so every single night we need to repent from sincerely. Not say, Tawbah, astaghfirullah, what did I do, man? Okay, but the intention is tomorrow I'm going to see that girl anyway. Okay, sincere tawbah to every single night. Okay, we need to do tawbah nasuha so that our heart is clean, so that if you are to pass away, your soul returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a state of purity. Do you understand this? This is very important. Now I'm going to finish off. 10 minutes inshallah. Question is, how do you now, first and foremost, know the disease of the heart, and how do we clean and purify the disease of the heart? Imam Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala anhu in Minhaj al-Abidin, and also in the Ihya has mentioned, there are 4 ways. How many? 4. What? 4. First and foremost is to sit in front of a murshid kamil, a nasih, admonishing sheikh, yeah, pir kamil. Obviously nowadays is we become murid is for barakah. Okay, do you know who murshid is from the word irshad? We are murid. Okay, from irada. Why do we become murid? And why is it known as murshid? Okay, we become murid for barakah. We need to be connected to Hussain or the awliya, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's for barakah. Okay, there's a lot of benefit with that as well. But the real reason why a person needs to become a murid from irada is, what's the meaning of murid? It is a person intends. You intend when you give your hand. In the hand of a murshid, you intend that you're gonna now, from that day onwards, you're gonna walk on the path of suluk, of purifying your heart. This is the whole objective of becoming a murid. Nowadays it's barakah. And the murshid will come and will sit in front of you and say, Mawlana Huzaifa, I can see in front of you, you're a bit stingy. You're not generous. Okay? So murshid will tell you how to remove these diseases. Okay? In the past, for example, if the murshid saw in you there's a bit of kibr, pride. Okay? Even if you are an alim, if you were to sit in front of your sheikh, the sheikh will say, but there's something in your heart which I dislike. You've got a bit of ujub, pride, ostentation. Take the robe off, take the imam off, go in the market, start begging for money. Why? You will kill your nafs. This is what they do. Okay, this is practical. In the past, this is what they used to do. You know? Just remember the story, and sometimes I read these things and it opens our eyes. Go, where are we? We are zilch. We're nothing, 0 to what the students were in the past. And listen to this story. The story is in Damascus, or in one of the mosques in Sham. There was a halaqah, a group like we have here today. And the Shaykh used to engage with his disciples with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu every single night, or every Monday, Sunday night or Monday night. And the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He got to know that a student of sacred knowledge is going to enter this masjid. And this Shaykh knew in him this bit of pride. He's learnt all the books, he studied books of fiqh and of tafsir and usul and whatever. Okay? He's going to enter the masjid, he knew about this. So he said to all of his disciples, when he enters the masjid, when he does salam, none of you reply to his salam. Replying to salam is what? Wajib. But none of you reply to the salam. He wanted to teach him a lesson. So this, imagine you see Damascus, okay, subhanAllah, place of barakah. So the student of sacred knowledge enters and he sees in the corner of the masjid, they're all doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, muraqabah, whatever, yes? He says, Assalamu alaikum ya ikhwan. Silence. So he's walking, turns around. I didn't even hear anyone replying to the salam. He goes back, Assalamu alaikum. Everyone looking down. The Murshid said, the Sheikh said, don't reply to the salam. Assalamu alaikum ya ikhwan. You juhal, you ignorant, arrogant individuals. This is the reason you need to learn knowledge. Don't you know that to reply to salam is wajib? You're not fulfilling this obligation, you engage in mustahab nafar during dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've begun to mention all these things in the Jami Masjid. The Murshid then looked at him. So, wa alaikum salam. Come. You know, full of rage, angered by Juhal, what's wrong with you, lot, man? Yeah, learn knowledge. They all were obviously in the past. You're not allowed to do dhikr without acquiring knowledge. Okay, you're not allowed to do muraqabah, meditation, do any type of tazkiyah nafs without fulfilling the fard of knowledge. Anyway, he came and sat next to Murshid. Wa alaikum salam. We knew it is wajib. Okay, just observe this. I'll come back to me next week. Okay. So he came back next week. He sat next to the Murshid, the Sheikh, the Murid are there. The Murid said to the rest of the group that when that person comes, that person was one of his disciples, was Murid. When he comes, none of you reply to the salam. Same thing. And said to the student of sacred knowledge, now you observe. You see the reaction, your reaction and the reaction of my disciple. So this person, this student, this disciple he came late. So he entered the majlis, he went to the corner of the masjid where the sheikh was with his disciples. And he replied, he did Assalamu alaikum. No reply. Again, he did Assalamu alaikum. Now he became soft in his tone. Okay? Assalamu alaikum. No reply. Now he's in tears. He's in tears. Ya ikhwan, please forgive me. What have I done wrong that you're not replying to my salam? Now this student of sacred knowledge, he understood. Look at his reaction. Are you brother Juhal, you're not replying to my salam? How dare you, it is wajib? Huh? And here, brethren, please forgive me. What sin have I committed that I'm not being honored by the reply of your salam? Completely different reaction to the same thing that happened. Why was it? It's because the second person who sat in front of the shaykh, his nafs, his soul was purified. And anything bad happens to him, he always blames himself before anyone else. That is why I always sit in front of the Shaykh, a Murshid. Again, Imam Sha'rani, I was going to mention this, but inshallah we'll leave it for next time. So first is to sit in the Murshid. Imam Ghazali, a scholar of 5th century Hijri, he says, it is very rare, we talk about in his time, it is very rare to find such Murshid, Nasih, admonishing Shaykh, that you can sit in front of his Shaykh, please purify me. You won't find such individuals. Even today, you won't find them. You won't find them. Okay, people do different courses, let's get to Nafs and Jesus of the heart, but you will not find a Shaykh who will look into you and say, Sahab, you know, you're very lazy. Okay, this is what you need to do. Etc. No. Okay? This is the first. The second, he says, if you do not find such a Murshid, find a mukhlis, a very sincere brother. And you say to your brother, if you see anything wrong, if I do anything wrong, if it's any of the disease of the heart, please inform me. If you think my talk is full of ostentation, pride, okay, if you think I'm showing off, If you think, I've got love of dunya, or love of wealth, or love of fame, love of praise, I want to be on social media, I want to showcase my achievements to the people, please inform me. Inform me, so I can rectify myself. Again, Imam Ghazali says, very rare you're going to find such a sincere brother. Why? Because if that brother is sincere, you never know, that brother may not tell you your disease. I don't know, I think it's wrong, I don't want you to tell him. It feels bad. Okay? So people nowadays, okay, they don't want such things. Yeah? And that is why Imam Ghazali says, if someone tells you something, brother, I think you do what you did. You gave money, you wanted the Imam Sahib to announce your money, I think you should have done that. Why? Because I think it's an alama of showing off. Okay, nowadays people say, who are you to tell me off? Yeah, who are you to tell me off? Okay, did you check my heart? Now that's why people, Imam Ghazali said, nowadays it's very difficult to find such individuals. But if you do find anyone, okay, nasiya to myself and to you, if you find people, anyone coming to you and say, brother, I think what you did is wrong, take that nasiha on board, okay, and rectify yourself and purify yourself, because it will be means of you getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, do you know these are the heart are like scorpions? Do you know you've got, if you're walking, now maybe a spider, okay, people are scared of spiders, hey, spider out there, and people run. Okay. Forget spider, even ants. Nowadays, the sisters, the wives are home. We're not talking wives from Pakistan or India. They are used to all these, intruders in the home. Okay, we're talking Western sisters. They see an aunt. Okay, they enter the house. Everyone get up. No, ring the husband. There's an aunt in the house. Okay. Anyway, so he says these diseases of the heart are like scorpions. Okay, ready to attack your heart, spiritual heart. If someone comes and says, brother, you got this disease, and says this is the scorpion, are you going to tell him, who are you? Or are you going to thank him? Huh? What are you going to do? You're going to thank Jazakallah for informing that, because that disease was about to attack my spiritual heart. You told me, okay, that I've got a bit of ostentation or greed or hirs or urju, whatever, kibr. Okay, Jazakallah, Allah bless you. Okay, but to find such individuals nowadays, such friends, is a rare. Okay, it's very rare. Third is listen to your enemies. Listen to your enemies, those who are jealous. Okay, because your enemies are always looking for your faults. Imam says, listen to, don't, oh, who are you? Yeah, I knew you were going to say that to me. Yeah? No? Yeah? No? Listen to your enemies, the keyboard warriors. Okay, sometimes they say certain things, there's an alam of truth, haqq in it. Because they're always looking, trying to find faults, your faults. Yeah? And when you listen to them, they will help you to find disease of the heart, and you will be able to rectify that, and they will stop trying to find your faults, because you've already rectified yourself. You get it? Okay? To listen to your enemies. Okay, as they say, the awliya say, stay away from your friend, lest he will become your enemy. Be close to your enemy, because he will guide you. Now, what do you mean by this? It's like he will guide you to Allah, your enemy will guide you to Allah, because he was always trying to find your faults. Yeah, he will put on social media, Mawlana Hussain, full of ostentation, pride, whatever this, he will put a list of it. Take it on board. Alhamdulillah for that. Okay? You did my homework. And work on it. Rather than answering back and goes from one place to another. Yeah? This is the, and the fourth is look at the state of people. Okay, look at the state of people. Okay, and a Muslim is a mirror within the Muslim. If you see that a Muslim is, you can see, I don't like his character, the way he speaks, the way he dresses, The way, showing off with his car, his mansion, the way, when he enters the gathering household, certain elements of character you do not like from that person, yes, you try and look into yourself and make sure you do not have that in you. You detest to see that in another person, detest it to see it in yourself. This is the fourth way, okay, the easiest way of purifying yourself. On Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Imam Ghazali says, he was asked, these are Anbiya Kiram, they are ma'asum. Okay, there's no element, okay, that the hearts or their souls will be tampered with any diseases. Na'udhu billah. They are pure. But as a prophet of Allah, okay, he wanted to give a nasiha. He was asked, how is it that your character, subhanAllah, is so perfect? He said, I learned it just by looking, observing the people around me. When I saw that there are certain elements in the people which I detested, which I did not like, I made sure I do not carry out that myself. This is how I purify myself. Okay? So, just to conclude, purification of the topic obviously takes lifelong. There's certain things you can learn, you can implement to finish. As I mentioned, Nafs always with you. And I'm going to finish our one final nasiha. If you want to awaken your Nafs al-Lawwama, very important, there's a method. And that is, every single day, take it on board. If you want to practice subhanAllah, you're good. Every single day, take one mubah act, permissible act. I'm going to give you examples later. And tell yourself, I will not carry out that act. Faith, let me give you an example. You have a habit of drinking chai 4 times a day. Example, in the morning, after work, okay, tea time, night time. Let's say you've got a habit of drinking chai, how many times? 4 times a day. Okay, your nafs wants it. Okay. So what you do, one day, you say to your nafs today, I'm not going to listen to you. No chai for you today. No chai day. Okay? Forget. Okay, 4 times, maybe just make it 2. Go against. One day, you're very thirsty, you want to drink water. I'm going to listen to my soul. Okay? You're thirsty. Drinking water is what? Jais or not jais? Jais, isn't it? Your nafs, your temptations, your lust, desire. There's a voice within you, you're thirsty. Just go to the kitchen, drink some water. Thirsty. At that moment, so no, today, I'm not going to listen to you. Unfortunately, do you know why? This is very important. Do you know why we see youth, majority of youth, especially in the West, they find it very difficult to practice Islam because they become servants of their nafs. They're always listening to what they want. And because of that, the nafs al-ammara becomes very strong, nafs al-lawwama becomes weak. You're always listening to your lower self. Every single day, take one thing a week for 7 days. Let's say, for example, for 1 week, I will not drink water at night time. It is my habit to drink water before I sleep. I will not listen to my nafs, my ego. I will not drink water for a week. Or for example, you're coming from home, from work, you're tired, 5 o'clock, you drop the kids at madrasa, you come back home, you know what, just sit on the sofa, just relax, man. Just take, put the feet up, relax, lie down. Yeah, it's night, long night. That time, it is permissible, absolutely, it's not haram. It's permissible to do that. Lie down on the sofa, relax, But that time, I'm not going to listen to you, okay? I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to lie down today. Now keep doing this. Take anything, whatever you have, okay? Every single day, take one habit, okay? We should implement, we should have a habit of doing. Don't listen to that. And you'll see within a couple of weeks, your nafs al-lawwama will become alive. It will become alive. To such an extent now, it'll become easier for you. At the moment, if I tell you, wake up for tahajjud, I said, it's only nothing. Too hard, too difficult. Okay? There will be time now, if you start going against your nafs. Don't listen to your temptations. You want to eat, you go to, do you know niyaz ke what? Is it niyaz today? Refreshments. Okay. Now, please do eat refreshments. Okay? Okay. But for example, let's say there's langar, niyaz, botia, big ones. You know, when you go, especially when you go to eat, people become beasts, man. You've never seen botis before. Yeah? And you know, you start on a table, and then the rice comes, and then the salad comes. Yeah? Now the nafs wants that boti. Yes or no? Yeah? And now the person in front of you taking the boti. They, you know, it's full, and if there's no botis, man, get some botis. It happens, isn't it? At that moment, when you really want that boti means what? Meat. Okay, so Gujarati brothers here. They think what's boti? Okay, there's a meat. Yeah? Today, meat. I'm not going to have meat at all. I'm going to give preference to my brother. Rather, I'm going to take the bowl and give it to the person on my right first, and then the brothers. And then at the end, what I've left, I'm going to take it. Fighting enough. This is small things. Small things, but we do observe it happens. Okay, small things. Okay, but if you start doing that, the nafs al-lawwama become alive, and things that you found it very difficult to do in terms of deen will become very easy for you. Okay, waking up for tahajjud will become easy for you. Every Monday is sunnah to fast. If I ask you today, tomorrow we're all gonna fast. Your nafs you know, a month. Working, man. I don't want to fast. Okay, don't, you know, I'll be talking to you people, you know, we don't want to fast because nafs doesn't want to fast. Okay, so these things, if you start breaking a habit, small habits, okay, this will help you to fast. For example, wake up for tahajjud, you know, if you want to give in the way of Allah, sadaqah. Okay, sometimes you don't want to give sadaqah, charity. It's not very easy. Okay, you give zakah, give sadaqah, wajib or whatever. But rarely you give sadaqah in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if you do, where's that silver coin here? 20 pence, 50 pence, max. Okay, if someone knocks on the door, you know, you always come every day, man. Okay? So no, go against your nafs. If you don't want to give, give. Okay? Go against your nafs within. You do this every single day for after a couple of weeks, inshallah, you will see your nafs al-lawwama will become alive, and you will be able to act upon Islam, deen will become very easy. And this is the reason why our youth find it very difficult to act upon Islam. They cannot pray 5 times prayer. Nafs al-lawwama is dead. You have to awaken them. And this is a psychological thing as well. Okay, we'll stop here, inshallah. A lot of things I could have talked about, but we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me, first and foremost, and all of us, okay, the ability to purify ourselves, our souls, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illuminate our hearts, okay, with His divine lights and the lights of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May we pass away from this dunya having our hearts purified, and we feel the presence of Allah. We come into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with nafs mutma'inna, that Allah is radi with us, Allah is pleased with us, and we are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.